Well, good morning and welcome back to the channel. This morning I'm going to be doing an oil change on my 2008 Saturn Redline. This has the 3.6 liter flavor. When I do my oil changes, I typically like to run the engine for a little bit, allow it to warm up. Not hot to where it burns me when I drain the oil, but hot enough to where it comes out of the oil pan faster. It just makes it a lot easier. Otherwise you're sitting there waiting for, maple syrup to come out of the engine. The reason I know I am due for an oil change is I get this fancy little light on my dash, like that. It's got the oil can and a little wrench. That means it's due for an oil change. If you get an oil can that's red without the wrench, that just means you're low on oil pressure, and that's worse. So, mine's due for an oil change. We're gonna start by raising it up, get the oil pan underneath there, drain the oil. We're gonna pull the filter off, put the new filter on, and then I'm also going to reset the oil light. So let's get to it. So underneath the front here, if you want to lift it up, there's this frame member that goes around here. This is just in front of your exhaust right here and after the little plastic cowling. That's a good spot to put the jack. Now the oil pan drain plug is over there. Hard to see in the camera, but that's your oil pan, and on this side of the exhaust pipe, that's your transmission. Oil pan drain plug is in the back of that. So to make it easier for us to get to, I'm gonna lift it up so that way I can crawl my butt back there a little bit better and show you what it takes. Looks like I got an oil leak somewhere. I'll worry about that later. Anyway, drain plug here on the oil pan. That's a 15 millimeter. Sometimes these are a little tight, so if you take your ratchet and just kind of hit it with your palm like that to break it free, usually works pretty good. Make sure that you position the oil pan far enough that way, because the oil is going to come out in a stream like that, and you don't want to get it all over your floor. Remember, you had the car warmed up a little bit, so just be careful when you're pulling this out. It may be a little warm. There we go. That's coming at a decent pace. It shouldn't take too long. Alright, once the draining is down to a trickle like that, you can go ahead and put the little drain plug back in there. Now there is, I'm sure, a torque spec for this. However, I don't know it off the top of my head, and I think that a couple grunts, that's probably pretty good. Okay, so the oil filter location on this engine is not the funnest. It's up here right next to the exhaust, and it's awkward to get your hand up in there. You can do it, but it requires a bit of a fight, and then to truly tighten it down properly and install the new one, I just don't like risking it. So what I've done is I pulled this little splash guard that goes right here off, and you don't have to pull the whole thing off. You just have to pull off these little black clips that go into the frame here. There's 3 of them, and then I've got it kind of bungeed up. Now I've got a straight shot to the oil filter right up there, and I can get my hand on it way easier and pull it off. And if you've got a pair of these handy dandy filter wrench pliers, it makes it even easier. Or a strap wrench, any of the above will work. I've already started to loosen this a bit, but just so you guys can see what I'm doing, if it's bright enough in here, let's see if I can. That might be a little better, huh? Nope, maybe not. Stay. Alright, there's no good place for this light. Alright, how's that? Make sure you move the oil pan out underneath of it, and then you can easily take it off with your hand. I'm doing a horrible job at showing you guys this, I know, sorry. And before you put the new one on, verify that the rubber seal that's on the top of this, that guy there, make sure that's not still on the engine. You don't want to double seal it, you'll have a big old leak and then engine failure, you know, it's fun stuff like that. Here, I'm using a Wix 57060 is the oil filter that it calls for. I'm going to put a little bit of oil around the seal. Some people like to put stuff in here. You can do that if you want, but when you tip it to put it in, it's just gonna drip out anyway. Plus, my car doesn't have a turbo, so it's not detrimental. It's still gonna fill, so it's not that big a deal. So you don't need Herculean strength to tighten these. It doesn't require, oh, come on, it doesn't require that much. But since it is an awkward position, you can use your strap wrench if you're not that strong with your hands to tighten it up, just to give it a little extra, or a towel like I'm using to grip it, and just as tight as you can get it with your hand is perfectly fine. One of the drawbacks from doing your own oil changes is that you have to dispose the oil yourself. Fortunately, most auto parts stores will take used oil for free. And if you live close to a landfill, often there's places in the landfill that allow you to dump oil for free too. So, pro tip. All right, I'm using 5W30 O'Reilly's high mileage because my engine's got over 100,000 miles on it. Why 5W30, you ask? Well, it says it right there. It takes 530. See, right there. So that's what we're using. My engine, I believe, takes 5 to 5.5 quarts. So we're gonna dump this whole 5-quart container in there, check the level, and if I need more, then I'll add more. Okay, engine oil dipstick is right next to the oil fill, pretty handy. You're gonna wipe it off first before you look at it, stick it back in all the way, then pull it and inspect it. And it looks like, shoot, that's basically right on the money. It's actually a bit over, if you can see in the camera. You got 3 dots. This top dot is full, and it's a bit over that, which is actually perfect because once we start it and run it for a few seconds, it's gonna fill that oil filter up and then it'll probably be at the perfect level. So it looks like 5 quarts is the way to go. All right, now to get rid of that pesky oil change light on your dash here. So to do that, you're gonna turn key off and then key on, and then you're gonna hit the gas pedal 3 times. 1, 2, 3, all the way to the floor, and then the light goes off. Just like that. That's gonna do it for today. Thanks for watching, appreciate it very much. If you like what I do on this channel, please consider subscribing, and you know, every once in a while maybe hit the like button for me, alright? See you guys in the next one.